Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Ms. Martin?
Here.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Here.
Mr. Conway?
Here.
Ms. Doherty?
Here.
Ms. Larraba? Mr. Leahy?
Here.
Mr. Leary?
Here.
7 present.
7 present, thank you. I don't believe we have anything under special order of business this evening, so going right into the minutes, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve. The first is the regularly scheduled minutes of the meeting of Wednesday, October 19th. Ms. Larraba? Motion to approve, second by Mr. Leahy. Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed is the vote. And then we have the special meeting of October 27th to be approved. Any questions, comments? Motion by Mr. Leary, seconded by Ms. Larraba. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Madam Superintendent, permission to enter?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. To Public Consulting Group Incorporated for $300,000 to recover retroactive and reimbursement from third-party payers from the federal Medicaid program and private insurance companies for medical services which are provided to school children enrolled in the Lowell Public Schools. It's a 3-year contract based on percentage 4.25 of funds recovered. To the Greater Lawrence Educational Collaborative, GLEC, for $72,855 to provide home-based services and mobility training and vocational assessments according to student special IEPs, funding provided by the school department budget, special education tuition account. To the town of Methuen for $9,778 to provide for the out-of-district tuition costs for 2 students enrolled in receiving services as outlined in their special education IEP. Funding is provided by the school department, special education tuition account.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Any questions? What's the wish of the committee? Motion to approve by Ms. Doherty, second by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larraba?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
7 yeas, passes.
Thank you. We have 7 memorials this evening, so let me read their names, and I'll ask that we rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers. Connie Wallace, retired Lowell High School clerk. John C. Chet Barker, father-in-law of Lynn Barker, Stocklosa Middle School teacher. Arthur Cushane, father of Lynn Willett, Stocklosa Middle School cafeteria manager. Marie O'Brien, mother of Sharon Lagasse, food service general manager. Leslie Burke, retired transportation office clerk. Thomas Torpy, retired Lowell Public School custodian. And Jack Keefe, father of David Keefe, Lowell High School music teacher and band director. Can we all please rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers? Thank you. May they rest in peace. Any unfinished business this evening? Hearing none, public participation. Motions, subcommittee reports. Moving right on to the reports of the superintendent. Madam Superintendent, Communication Systems Superintendent's monthly newsletter.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the first report this morning is just a copy of my monthly newsletter this month entitled The Power of Teaching. Every month I'm sending a newsletter to all staff electronically on what's upcoming. This is the second edition. I believe you received the first one electronically, but this is a copy of what is sent to the entire staff in all schools, talking about what we're upgrading as far as programs and new things in the field, and just keeping people made aware and with a message from me. So I just wanted to bring your attention to this publication to improve communication.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on the newsletter? Motion to accept the report from the superintendent's report of progress by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. School committee suspense account balance, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, this is a report submitted to us by Deputy Superintendent Jay Lang of the amount that is remaining in the suspense account. And so at the September 21st meeting, as everybody recalls, we did spend $514,000 to to get some kindergarten teachers because of our class sizes were extraordinarily high. At this particular time, the current balance of the suspense account has $2,153,684, and it is, there's a detailed report of all of the changes since we last spoke of the suspense account for your information.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Any questions on the suspense account report? Thank you, Deputy Superintendent Lang. Motion by Mr. Leary, seconded by Mr. Conway, to accept the report as a report of progress. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Health and Wellness Grant Opportunity, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, this is another report from Deputy Superintendent Jay Lang that is informing us all about the opportunity to write mini grants up to the total amount of $50,000 for schools that are having healthy eating or physical activity, wellness activities, so teachers and schools can write grants to be submitted to RMAC, and there are detailed outlines in the report inside that tells teachers what in fact they might write for and submit, and then they can get these services for their classroom and their schools.
Thank you. Any questions? Ms. Larraba.
Yes, through you to Superintendent. Is this something that many of our schools take advantage of?
Yes, Ms. Larraba, I don't know about the this particular opportunity, but in the past 15 years, anytime there's been any kind of mini grant scenario, we always had some affiliation with UMass Lowell in the past, sometimes other partners, and so teachers have most always sought out extra funding for certain initiatives, and so I would be very surprised if this funding wasn't used completely. It's something that we have a history of teachers participating.
Any other questions, comments? Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Leary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. And the Bridge Program Annual Report, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is our annual Bridge Program Annual Outcome Report submitted to me by Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services, Ann Murphy. And as you have seen this same format many years, it really tells about the triumphs, the challenges, the needs, the progress, and the growth of the students at the Bridge Program in a very complete way. So for your review.
Thank you. Any questions on the update on the Bridge Program? Hearing none. Motion by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Conway, to accept the report as a report of progress. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Under new business this evening, net school spending agreement, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, we have another report from Deputy Superintendent Jay Lang about what has been going on between the City of Lowell and the Lowell School Committee as far as what's charged, municipal charges to the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education on the end of the year pupil and financial report. Now, Mr. Lang has been very busy, as we can all see, so if anybody has details, he really has much more information about that. So if you have any questions of Mr. Lang, I welcome them.
Anybody have any comments or questions on the memorandum of agreement? What's the wish of the committee? Move approval?
Just a quick question, just the
Mr. Leary?
Amoresco repairs, does that apply towards net school spending in any fashion at all, Mr. Ling?
The repairs themselves to the buildings do not, because they're a capital expense, but what we're pretty much basically doing in this agreement is shifting the electricity and the natural gas costs, because they used to be budgeted in the school budget and they'd be recorded as a school expense. Now they're being paid by the city, so they're going to come over as a city expense at the end of the year. The only other item that I recommended taking out, it was stricken, was the lease for the Bon Marché building used to be included in the agreement, and we're not there anymore, so we're just going to strike that. So basically, it was the two yellow areas were the new sections I was adding on page 3. Small 4 and small 5 are the 2 new sections to take care of the electricity and natural gas. And on page 4, D, small 1, was being stricken. That was the lease for the admin building. But the rest of the charges and chargebacks are consistent. But the school committee does need to adopt a net school spending agreement to be in compliance with the DOE for our reporting, just so everyone knows what we are reporting and where we're getting our numbers from.
Thank you. Ms. Larraba?
Motion to accept the memorandum?
Motion to accept the memorandum of agreement by Ms. Larraba, second by Mr. Leary. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larraba?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
Excuse me, yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
7 yeas, passes.
Thank you. Next item, amend regulations governing the use of school facilities. Madam Superintendent?
This particular report is talking about when people are using our schools, there are a number of new anti-hazing law requirements that we have to make sure outside organizations adhere to. And so within the report, there are some recommended changes to our existing rules that govern the use of facilities. So if you look at page 1, I direct you to the yellow section, highlighted in yellow. And so it's asking for anybody using our school buildings acknowledging and complying with the anti-bullying hazing law, and that to be added to, in fact, our list of regulations. That's the first one. The next page, on page 2, is just changing the name of our business office to the Office of Finance and Operations to make the official change. If I could direct you to page 3, we are omitting section number 2 there, which looks at a master schedule. I guess it's a change in the process. So, okay, so we have it on a different system, I guess. And so there's a new system of how we get the information, so that can come out of the report. Beyond that, the rest is informational. On page 4, it used to be a special events coordinator. Now it's the parking department. And the rest are really just changes in procedural kind of things. So the major change actually is that everybody really needs to adhere to that hazing law, that anti-hazing law. So those are the changes, and I would look for a vote to accept the recommended changes in general.
Any comments, questions? Ms. Larraba?
Yes, just kind of going back over the general policy. If we have a school-related group that's using the cafeteria, do we have any leeway in terms of letting the group clean up after themselves? Or is there always a custodian required to be there? Because I guess in the past, there's been some discretion in that, and this is now a new cost? Or are we being better about applying the policy? I'm just trying to get a sense of what it is we're doing.
It depends on the group, the size of the group, what the intended use is for that particular time. If it's we obviously always ask whoever is renting or using the facility to help us clean up at the end of it. The big issue comes into play where contractually on the weekends in particular, when the schools are closed by contract, you have to bring a custodian in or a food service worker if they're using the kitchen to run the facility. That's always been the case. Weekdays, we have a little more flexibility where if the buildings are already open and it's a small group activity taking place, you don't have to bring an extra staff member so you don't have to pass that cost off to the association. But that's been pretty consistent.
And so if you have cafeteria staff there, do you necessarily have to then have a custodian if the group is willing to make sure that they clean up?
You do, on a weekend, again, if the building's locked, you need the custodian to open the building. Okay. The cafeteria staff wouldn't have keys and alarm codes and things of that sort.
Any other questions, comments? Motion to approve by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Martin. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larraba?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
7 yeas, passes.
Next item, establish use of school property revolving fund. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, this is another report presented by Deputy Superintendent Jay Lang, and in this particular report, he's telling us about revolving funds used for school department programs. In this report includes the list of what we have in those funds, and he's recommending that the Lowell School Committee formally vote to accept the Massachusetts General Law and establish a use of school property in revolving fund.
Any questions? What's the wish for the committee? Motion to approve by Ms. Doherty, second by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Thank you.
7 yeas, approved.
With the indulgence of my colleagues, I'm going to recognize Mr. Conway. He's going to request a suspension.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask my colleagues for a suspension of the rules for the purpose of discussing the school closings and the related storm that we had.
Second by Ms. Doherty to motion to suspend the rules. Roll call on the motion.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very, very briefly here. We obviously have a very complicated system of over 14,000 students, and to compound the situation with a storm that is very unusual and having it in October, that which obviously caused tremendous problems and havoc in the city and to our schools. I just want to take a minute to compliment Madam Superintendent and Deputy Superintendent Jay Lang for the extended work that these people put in. And again, I know that people take it for granted, but they're going around the clock and trying to make sure that that we have our schools open, but more importantly, making sure that those schools are safe. And I'm sure that my colleagues will join in with me on this to thank both of you for that fine work that you did in the last few days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Anyone else? Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Conway, for that recognition, but I wrote a very lengthy thank you email today with many names. Jay Lang and my team, Ann Murphy and Claire Abrams, were amazing. We met for hours yesterday, just making sure we had made sure everything was going to be safe to reopen school. So I will forward you the email of all the names of people. I publicly would like to thank the payroll department who came to work in the cold to make sure we got paid this week. That was above and beyond. Brian Curley, the director of operations, did an amazing job. He was awake and doing all that work, and Jay and Brian and his department did a phenomenal job. The cafeteria workers, they were up, making sure they were making sure that the food that we had lost was disposed of appropriately, and there was a choice at lunch today. You know, it was sandwiches, but there were 3 different kinds. So they took it very seriously. The technology department, Wayne Marsh, and the gentleman, Mr. Myers, I believe his name is, from here, they worked collaboratively to make sure we didn't lose any ground between City Hall and our office. And so I don't want to leave anybody out, but I did write a thank you, so I'll forward that to you, so just so you can know the names of the people, many involved. But I am very fortunate to work with an amazing administrative team, and they were right there beside me in the cold of the Rogers School doing the work we could do. So thank you very much, Mr. Conway, for that recognition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Conway. Getting back on the regular agenda. Next item, we have 4 convention and conference requests. Do we want to take them separately or together? What's the wish of the committee? Motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Leary, that we take them as under one vote. All those in favor of taking them as one vote signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote. Anybody have any questions on the 4? Mr. Leahy?
Thank you. Number 3, I just wanted to recognize that this is a trip that the athletic director, Mr. DeProfio, is taking. It's work-related, and it should be noted that he's paying the expenses himself, so,
Self-paid,
he
right.
really should put in for what he's entitled to, but he does this out of the kindness for himself, and he pays for the whole trip, and it should be noted that he's doing that, because not a lot of people would do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to approve the 4 travel requests by Mr. Leary, seconded by Ms. Martin. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. Under Communications, informational, Lowell Telecommunication Channel 10 broadcasts of school committee meetings live on the first and third Wednesday of each month, Thursdays at 9 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m., and Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Under Professional Personnel, we have a letter from Paul Georges, President of UTL, addressed to Superintendent Franco. Dear Superintendent Franco, the members of the United Teachers of Lowell hereby request to donate sick leave days to the following teacher: Anna Galupe, Bailey School, 10 days. Thank you for attention to this matter. Sincerely, Paul Georges, President of the United Teachers of Lowell. Motion to approve by Mr. Leary, seconded by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. I don't believe there's anything else to come before us this evening. Motion to adjourn by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Larrabee. All those in favor? We stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.